This time of year, a lot of women are planning weddings, and it can be so stressful. In fact, a lot of times the couples are so busy preparing for the wedding, they forget to prepare for their relationship. So today we're learning how to get ready for that lifelong commitment. But before we talk to our experts, here is the story of one local bride-to-be and her biggest concerns about getting married.
Hi, my name is Sally Herman. I am getting married September 22nd, 2012. I am 27. Richie and I got engaged in Jamaica August 6th. I am a nail technician along with a hairstylist and a bartender on the side, and I am trying to plan a wedding. So my life is pretty crazy. I have 2 days off a month. Richie and I, our biggest thing right now is the list and figuring out save the dates and honeymoon. I'm very nervous that I put all this time in planning this wedding if after the wedding it's just gonna, what do I do? I am a little scared about marriage because nowadays it seems like marriage isn't as true and it doesn't last as long, and it makes me nervous as far as relationship-wise. We'll still have that connection that we had before we got married. After the wedding, I just want to make sure that Richie and I will be best friends, and as we are now, and love each other as much as we do, maybe even a little more stronger of a love, so eventually we can have a nice family.
Some of Sally's specific concerns are very common. She wants to know what, she and Richie should be talking about right now, like whether they should have children or whether they want kids, how they'll budget their money, and where they will live once they're married. So here to tell us what engaged couples should be focused on and how to make sure they are ready for that lifelong commitment is professional counselor Lindsay Waldman. Good morning.
Morning.
So this is huge, and so many people, they get married and then they're surprised at all the stuff they didn't talk about, little things sometimes.
Absolutely, and I guess with our spring theme today of what's coming, this is coming up on wedding season. You have a lot of people that are planning and, like she said, making the list, getting the save the dates, doing all of the planning. And sometimes I just ask people, to think, if you're going to spend 80, 100, 300 hours planning, what if you just took a fourth of that and put it into some of this conversation about what comes next?
Well, specifically, Sally had asked, what should we be talking about right now? She mentioned children. Obviously, that's a big issue.
Absolutely. I think if we could kind of break it down, we definitely want to have couples talking about how we're going to divide up, labor in the household. Even if we live together already, things are going to change a little bit. And so we want to kind of keep in mind, where does money go? How do we treat that? Who's going to wash dishes? Who's going to clean laundry? Those kinds of things.
Because these are things that will add up and build up and cause a lot of tension if you don't have them resolved ahead of time.
Absolutely. We want to try and start with as little resentment builders as possible so that, because there are going to be big things that come up at times. And the kid issue, having children, not to have children, if we've never talked about it before, like the day after the wedding, maybe we want to give some thought to that beforehand.
Don't assume that your spouse-to-be wants kids or wants 5. I mean, you really should be specific.
Or even like future goals, like where do we want to live? What do I want to do for a career? Are we going to go back to school? What happens next? Do we just give them some time to those things?
So money, kids, chores, career. Now, with all these things that we have to talk about, think about how much time they do devote to planning for the actual wedding. How much time should they set aside to talk about these issues?
Sure. I think usually if a couple calls me and says, we're looking for counseling before we get married, typically what we'll look at is if we could commit to maybe 3 months of meeting weekly or every other week. That should usually be sufficient to kind of work a lot of these things out. Now, obviously, there's going to be times where maybe there's more to talk about or, less to talk about.
But it's so important, and I think what young people don't understand, or anyone who's about to get married, it doesn't mean you have problems in your relationship that you go to premarital counseling.
Right. I think it's actually kind of a way, she was saying, marriage doesn't always mean a forever commitment, and these days we see it more and more and more of marriages not lasting. And so if we could do some kind of pre-work, it's probably going to help at least prolong things. Even if ultimately we grow apart or it doesn't work, maybe we at least can figure out some things and stop some of that from happening as quickly.
Well, and Sally mentioned to me she sees in the media famous, infamous couples like
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian and her soon-to-be ex.
Sure.
And it scares her that her wedding is, or her marriage is not going to be forever.
I think, you know, we'll just look at how Kim Kardashian's wedding was. It was this huge production, and it was like, you know, multi-million-dollar thing on television and all of this, and something like 72 days later, they were done. And, you know, in kind of reading about what's been going on at, like, the reality show that was being taped during that time, she was really starting to have doubts and a lot of these kinds of things, like, I don't know that I'd want to be with this person. And so, you know, good for her for knowing that, but I wonder what could have been different if we had spent a little time on that
And so
beforehand.
it is, again, really important that, you know, people feel okay and comfortable talking to somebody about these things.
Yeah, I like to just remind people, going to counseling doesn't have to mean that there's problems or big issues. In fact, it could be kind of a way to prepare for the future and to maybe kind of build up a savings account of good stuff that's kind of waiting after the wedding. Still plan the wedding, have a great time with it, but just make sure we're still connecting and not going to wake up the next morning after we've said I do and be like, who are you?
Right.
How did we get here? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very
Such a
welcome.
big topic to explain to people and make them feel comfortable about. So Sally, I hope that answers some of your questions, and we have linked, or we posted a link to Lindsay's website on GreatDaySt.Louis.com. And that brings us to our big question on Facebook today. We want to know, what surprised you most when you first got married? Did you learn that your husband snores loudly, or maybe that his family was tougher to get along with than you first thought? Go to Facebook and post on our wall. If you have any marriage advice, throw that up there. That's always interesting. And how about a new bra and panty set to rev up your love life? Our Deal Divas just heard about SmartAndSexy.com. Yes, this is a lingerie company featuring some cute bra and panty sets for just $15. That's not bad. And for every garment shipped, the company makes a donation to organizations that support women. And we really like that. So check it out for yourself. We put a link in the Deal Divas section of GreatDaySt.Louis.com. Matt.
Did we just go from weddings to lingerie?
Well, yeah, the
That's pretty
honeymoon.
sweet. Nice.
Only
I
for the
noticed that.
honeymoon would you ever do that.
I understand. Coming up next on Great Day, we are checking out some amazing travel deals that you will not want to pass up. Stick around. And in honor of Fat Tuesday, we'll show you how to make a traditional New Orleans muffaletta. It's a 3-meat, 2-cheese sandwich that will not disappoint. These things are always huge. And if that doesn't get you in the Mardi Gras spirit, this next story and this next store definitely will. We're checking out Soulard's very own Gypsy Shop. Stay with us.
From Salon Fleur de Lis. Have a great day, St. Louis.